Lots of positive words came from the IMF meeting this weekend. As Christine Lagarde said, implementation was the key to saving Greece from default. And despite reports of a massive €2 billion boost to the European Financial Stability Fund and more concrete proposals to save the Greek crisis, Asian stock indices closed in the red and the euro came under bearish pressure in early trading. Stephen Gallo is a familiar voice on Duke's Copy TV and he joins me again. Stephen, why hasn't the market been convinced?
Yeah, so I think overall, there are a couple of issues here. The first issue here is that there are a lot of options and potential solutions which are being tabled, but it doesn't seem that as a whole yet, European policymakers and politicians have been able to agree on one option or one solution to drive forward or to drive home here so that we really have a comprehensive solution to this crisis, which obviously involves a reduction of the debt burden for Greece and/or one or more peripheral sovereign peripheral euro area member states. The second is a recapitalization of the banks, and the third is some kind of mechanism which essentially prevents the market pressures from building on Spain and Italy. So there are a number of these options that are circulating out there, potential solutions circulating out there, and no one has really settled on any one thing, or no one group of people in Europe have settled on really one thing. And then the second issue is that we're beyond the time period where just positive rhetoric or willy-nilly sort of will preserve the euro rhetoric, but no actions to really follow up to those comments. We're at a point now where that type of response, and also an incremental response to the crisis as well, is not going to allay market fears. We're at the point where we need sort of some kind of shock and awe strategic option and solution for the crisis in Europe, and we haven't gotten one yet, so the markets are losing patience.
If this €2 trillion boost to the EFSF does go through, do you think this is the sort of large-scale action the markets are looking for?
I think it will help, but then again, you have to question what the €2 trillion number is going to be used for. I mean, the EFSF cannot simply be used as a mechanism to start purchasing sovereign debt on the secondary, markets. You don't want a mechanism with a finite amount of capital like the EFSF, or a finite amount of guarantees, as well, I should say, buying debt on the secondary markets to ward off market pressures. So it depends on how the EFSF is used. What I would say is that a €1 to €2 trillion increase, a €1 to €2 trillion increase in the EFSF, it's likely that move will buy policymakers in Europe a significant amount of time, or a fairly significant amount of time, but that still leaves a lot of cracks in the system and missing pieces of the puzzle to be filled in, so that Italy and Spain aren't a threat. And I don't think a €1 to €2 trillion increase in the EFSF is going to keep the markets off of Italy and Spain. I think we need to start talking about fiscal union here and greater fiscal harmonization, and potentially even a pathway to euro bonds. And it doesn't seem like that's on the table yet.
Surely we're getting to the stage where politicians need to stop pandering to their voters and start taking some firm long-term action.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think on the one hand, the politicians need to put their own reputation and their own political careers on the lifeline to safeguard, to take short-term actions which may not look to be the right action. It may not look it may not seem for the electorate that these are the right actions, because they require some short-term pain for longer-term gain. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think politicians need to start selling the idea of what stabilizing Europe means for individual countries that are in the euro, what stabilizing the eurozone or the euro system means for the individual countries that are a part of it, and why it's necessary to take those firm steps now. So that is one problem. I don't think we've seen enough of that yet. The second issue, though, is the democratic process itself. The democratic process itself is actually holding up. It's actually holding policymakers back from taking some of those tough decisions, because, like you rightly say, politicians are worried more sometimes about the votes or getting reelected than actually taking the right decision or what is best for the system as a whole.
And just to finish off, Stephen, what sort of range would you expect the euro-dollar to operate in over the coming month or so?
Sure. So I think that without any significant change or without any significant market surprising measures from European politicians on the positive side, I think the market, foreign exchange market participants will be likely to short the euro between, definitely between 135.50 and 136.20, but even lower levels, I mean, below 135, depending on how the mood plays out in the markets. If the mood continues to be very negative, the pressure on the dollar to appreciate will remain in vogue. And then I think, based on where we were trading in euro-dollar prior to the start of the 2011 tightening cycle on the part of the ECB, which was in the 128 to 132 range, I think there is scope for a move back to 128 back into 128 to 132, assuming that we get explicit acknowledgement from the ECB that they're going to have to lower interest rates, and if the situation between now and when they give that explicit acknowledgement deteriorates even further. So there are still opportunities, even at these levels, 134.50 and change or so, to be shorting the euro for a move to 128 to 132.
Stephen Gallo there, one of the most accurate forecasters in the business. Goodbye for now.